So the best colored shirt to wear in extreme hot weather is going to be white or any of the pastels. We're talking light pink, light blue, mint, or lavender. When it comes to your trousers, think light colored browns like khakis or chinos, or even a light gray, ivory, or white linen. The worst colors in hot weather? Black, navy, charcoal gray. And the reason for this, as you probably know, lighter colors keep you cooler. But what you might not know is exactly how much cooler they actually are. Now, heat, as you know, comes from solar radiation. Light is equal to visible light reflectance. Now, laboratory tests on cotton t-shirts found that the reflectance value of a white shirt are about 1 for pure light, meaning it's reflecting back everything, 0.9 for the pastels, 0.88 for light gray, 0.7 for sky blue, and 0.1 to 0.05 for charcoal, navy, and black. What that means is those dark colors are absorbing 95% of the visible light spectrum. The result, as you can see in this chart, is a 10x difference between white and black in terms of the amount of heat generated. The fabrics I'm talking about here are linen, seersucker, and tropical weight wool. Now, the key with these fabrics is they have larger yarn gaps. Basically, that means when they're sewn together, the holes between the yarns is larger than you would see, let's say, in a twill weave, which is going to be very tight, very thick. That's a heavier weight fabric, great for winter because it blocks the wind and it insulates the wearer. With larger yarn gap fabrics, we want the air to be able to flow easily. That's why I love linen. Tropical weight wool and seersucker are sewn in a way that they allow the air to be able to move, even though those yarns could be sewn tighter if they came off a different loom. Now, to get specific, if you see any jackets out there, any trousers that are made from a high twist fresco, that is a great thing. It's usually going to be a little bit more expensive, but if you can find one at a thrift store, or if you've got the money, it is worth paying for. Another lesser known option is to use anything that has a mohair blend. So this comes from goats. Now, the interesting thing about mohair yarn is it's almost got like a glass surface, so it doesn't hold moisture. It allows heat to dissipate really quickly. And as an added bonus, it makes the fabric really soft. So if you see a jacket made from that, go ahead and pick it up. That would be a great hot weather jacket. Hopsack is another fabric you're going to see out there. It's usually rough. It's not nearly as soft as the mohair, but it's going to allow that air to move. Now, this next hack may seem like BS because you're actually wearing more clothing, but it's true and it works. And that is to wear a lightweight poly blend undershirt that fits you skin tight. There's a lot of options made by different brands, but what I like is something that has a bit of a stretch to it. It fits to the body close and it's incredibly light, almost having a gauze weave. I usually go for gray. I'm wearing one under this shirt. I wear one pretty much under every video. What I love about a good undershirt is it protects my outerwear, my nicer clothing from sweat, because it creates a small space between the two layers of clothing and the air that's moving there. It allows it to evaporate under the shirt. And I'm not talking about compression wear. It needs to be lightweight, but what this is going to do, it's going to protect you from sweat stains, the discoloring of your nicer clothing, and in my experience and research, it does keep you cooler. Chimney effect. That is wearing looser clothing that allows the air to circulate around the body. In fact, the cooling effect of airflow can even offset color. There was a study on how Bedouins are able to wear black clothing in the desert and not overheat. And the research showed it was because the clothing was loose fitted and it allowed air to freely move around the body. So wearing pants that are a little bit looser, rolling them up at the ankles, opting not to wear a belt, maybe switching over to suspenders, choosing a linen shirt that has a little bit more freedom of movement. These small details add up and they make a big difference in keeping you cool. Now, a classic Guayabera is a men's summer shirt that is worn untucked. It's defined by 2 columns of closely sewn pleats running the front length and back of the shirt. Typically made of linen or cotton, it can either be long or short sleeve, and it's traditionally made with 2 to 4 patch pockets on the front. Now, the only problem with this design, at least for probably most of you guys watching, is that the style of this shirt with all those pockets is very different from what you're used to wearing. And to be honest, that's the reason why 99% of men don't have this shirt in their wardrobe. The solution? Pick up a Guayabera-Inspired Shirt. So the one I'm wearing right here, as you can tell, doesn't have the patch pockets. It's short sleeve, made of cotton, and instead of the pleats, the designer here just went with 2 columns that open up the shirt and allow more venting. So is this then still a Guayabera? Well, by a strict definition, probably no. But that's not the point, gents. What is? I want to give you practical tips to improve your style and look good and bring in some interesting summer shirts that level up your style. Now, there's a few key features on this shirt that make it unique. So first up, The material is a knit. Now, the most common place we see this weave used is with sweaters, but it can also be used effectively in summer wear because basically all they're doing is taking a yarn and interlooping it. What this does is it gives the fabric properties that are different from woven fabrics, in particular a bit of a stretch, and if using the right type of yarn, it makes the fabric more breathable, which are both great characteristics in hot weather, right? Now, the next key characteristic is the use of a camp collar. This is a collar that isn't made separately from the shirt itself. They're pretty much always open, flat layering, and you know them because there is no way to button up the top. There's no button or no buttonhole. And finally, let's talk about the sleeves and the shirt hem. Basically, we're going to have an elastic ribbed weave that allows the garment to better hug the body and give an overall trimmer fit. Now, if you know your style history, shirts like this first started to appear in the 1930s and 40s and became incredibly popular in the 1950s. Stylish men in hot areas like Italy, Cuba, Miami love these shirts, and to this day, the style is still associated with them. The shirt I'm talking about is casual by nature. It doesn't try to be a shirt that you would ever button up all the way or wear in a formal setting. Therefore, it can embrace a variety of colors, textures, and materials. Linens, cottons, performance blends. They come in a variety of colors, of unique weaves, which give them sometimes rough or textured looks. Now, by and far, these shirts are made to be worn untucked. And if they do have a pocket, it's not really meant to be used. It's there for design purposes. But if you want a sleeker version of the shirt, look for one that doesn't have the pocket on the front. In this case, right here in the placket, we hide the contrasting buttons. And the sleeves on this one even have a bit of extra detail with a classic fold over that gives it more definition. Now, a quick pro tip here. If you're a relatively thin guy like me, you are going to want to get the shirt trimmed up. You're going to want to get it darted. You are probably even going to want to have the sleeves slimmed up a bit. You can take all this to a seamstress. They may do it for 20 to 30 bucks. Or if you got a sewing machine, you can do it yourself in about 20 minutes. In any case, remember, fit is king. Now, the distinctive feature of a Hawaiian shirt is the printed fabric. Now, traditional men's Aloha shirts are adorned with traditional Hawaiian quilt designs, tapa designs, and simple floral patterns in more muted colors. However, modern contemporary designs can feature a wider range of different patterns to include palm trees, surfboards, drinks, or other tropical elements, and we see the color combinations on these contemporary shirts as higher contrast. You're going to have brighter colors, you're going to have a wider range of colors. Now, depending on who you talk to, the shirts have a Japanese Hawaiian heritage that goes back to the 1920s, 1930s, and they were initially sold to tourists who latched onto them and loved them, brought them back from their vacations, and by the 1930s, they had picked up the name as Aloha shirts. Sales exploded after World War II. Servicemen brought them back from the Pacific, and the shirt was cemented as an American icon when Elvis Presley donned one on the album cover for Blue Hawaii. Now, as you can imagine, with all this print, with all this color, with all this design, these shirts are always going to be casual. That being said, they're a classic garment, and there's even a form of dress code called Aloha attire that encourages guys to wear these type of shirts to events like beach weddings, birthday parties, and tropical themed dinners. And so for those reasons, the history, I absolutely love this shirt, and I encourage every man to look to pick one up to add to his summer wardrobe. Now, the next garment on this list is our second piece of knitwear, but this one is a little bit more formal than the other, and only because the styles I'm talking about here are usually going to be solid in color and cleaner and simpler in overall design. Now, the polo shirt, as the name implies, comes off the polo field. They were made popular, though, in the 1920s and 30s through the sport of tennis. And although they were always considered casual clothing, in the 1920s and 30s, you could wear this garment with a sports jacket, which just goes to show how times change, because now a polo with a sports jacket, perhaps paired with tropical weight wool trousers, yeah, by today's standards, that's going to be a pretty dressed up look. And that's why I've got this shirt on your summer list, because when you want to look good, but it is sweltering hot outside. And with all these jackets, you want to be thinking quarter lined, half lined, or even completely unlined. So a lining, as you probably know in a jacket, is there to protect the jacket, but it also makes the jacket a bit cheaper because on the inside of the jacket, they don't have to finish a lot of things. They can just put that lining right in there. Well, if you go with a half line, quarter lined, or even unlined jacket, what's going to happen is you're going to have to spend a little bit of time finishing the inside, but you have less material covering you, and therefore the jacket, in theory, again, you're using one of these other fabrics I talked about, it would be more breathable. And believe it or not, if you look around, you can find tons of these jackets out there. I know I go into some of the better menswear stores, and they're actually just hanging there. You just need to know what you're looking for. the Blouson. Now, Blousons were made popular in the 1960s, and they've got a different origin. These actually originate from bomber jackets. So as you can imagine, Blousons have a military heritage, and unlike bomber jackets that have a higher cut, Blousons are going to be cut just a bit lower. Now, a classic Blouson is going to be made from a cotton material, and on the inside, we're either going to see linen, but more likely we're going to see a synthetic fabric. Now, similar to bombers, Blousons are going to be loose in and around the torso, although around the waistband, they're going to be a bit more fitted. Now, the big distinction between a Blouson and a Harrington, if you're ever looking at these two jackets, is going to be the collar. On a classic Blouson, we're going to see the ribbed collar, while on the Harrington, we're going to see a fold-up collar or something that has a little bit more of a refined design. So Blousons, by their design, by their origin, and the rib material we're going to see around the cuffing and the neck, these are going to be more casual in nature. Now, the next jacket on this list may be a little bit too heavyweight for the summer, but you got the cooler days, and there are lightweight versions of this jacket. I'm talking about the classic trucker. Now, denim jackets have been popular since the 1960s, a big part in the fact they're made from a durable material, great for workwear. And now that this material is ubiquitous throughout menswear, it's easy to pair with a variety of non-denim trousers. I personally think that if you find this jacket in a lightweight material, you've got something you can wear anytime during the summer. Well, anytime you're dressing casually. Because of the material, the rivet buttons, the overall style, yeah, this is definitely a casual jacket. Now, this next jacket is definitely one of the lightest on this list. It is known as the shirt jacket. Now, its name implies it has a lot of the same designs as a shirt. We look right here on the cuff, and you've got the gauntlet button. These two details right here give away what type of jacket this is. It also has a single pocket on the breast. But unlike a shirt, the opening right here is going to use a zipper. Occasionally, you'll see them with buttons, but zippers are going to be more common. They have what appears to be almost a shirt collar with a little bit longer point lapels. But overall, this is a more modern piece. It's been around for over 50 years, but has only become popular in the last 15 to 20. I think the shirt jacket fills an interesting niche, especially if you learn how to layer. Because it's so lightweight, you can wear, as you can see right here, I'm wearing a knit piece of knitwear underneath that has a napped weave. But if I wanted to switch it up, wear it in a little bit warmer weather, or keep it more casual, I could wear a simple white t-shirt underneath this, and I think it would look good. Also notice the bottom and the length. It fits very similar at this point to a dress shirt, but it is made to be worn untucked. And if that's not interesting enough for you, you want something with a little bit more heritage, but just as unique, check out the Chore Jacket. Now, the Chore Jacket's been around for over 200 years, originating out of working class France. Typically, it's made from a tight woven cotton or denim, and a classic Chore Jacket is going to come in a French blue color. Also, you notice the pockets, they're going to be larger. They aren't always going to have a closure. These pockets are made to hold tools or other loose items that a person would need. And with that, let's also talk about the classic fit of the Chore Jacket. This should be a bit of a looser, a square fitting garment, although the ones being put out by modern fashion houses are going to have a more slimmed cut silhouette. And of course, this list would not be complete without the M65. This is the classic field jacket. Now, the original field jackets came out of World War II, but they kept evolving. And it was in the year 1965 when the M65 was released, a jacket made for soldiers to be able to deal with a variety of different situations, from the fields of Europe to the jungles of Southeast Asia. Now, traditionally, field jackets were made from cotton, although you will find some in a lightweight twill. More modern versions made from nylons and blends up. A classic field jacket's going to have large pockets, whether for maps or ammunition, and the overall fit is going to be a bit looser. The original M65 jackets were made to be layered with. Now, when it comes to a front closure, the original field jackets used a button. Most modern versions, though, are going to switch over to a zipper. Overall, the field jacket is a casual jacket, but if unlined, made from a lightweight material, it could be a great summer addition for your wardrobe. Now, guys, really quick, a lot of guys make a mistake. They think that just watching a video like this on YouTube is somehow going to make them an expert. Straight up, gents, you have to take this information and put it into action. And one of the best ways to motivate yourself to take action is to put yourself in a community, in a group of like-minded warriors, taking steps to improve their image, their presence, their presentation, and you can find all of that over at our community at school.com/RMRS. Over in our school community, we've got detailed classes, we host challenges, and you can meet and engage with like-minded men taking steps on a daily basis to become their best self. So, gents, instead of saying someday, how about you say day one and join our community? I'm putting the link down in the description, in the comments, or you can just go directly to school.com/RMRS. Now moving over to the bathroom, let's talk about some grooming hacks that can keep you cool in extreme hot weather. First up, mentholated shampoos and body washes. Now what's interesting about menthol is it activates cold receptors, specifically our TRMP8s, and this ends up tricking our brains to feel a few degrees cooler. This in turn increases blood flow on the skin, which causes the body to dump heat. Another option is to look at a peppermint body powder. Often marketed as cooling body powders, these can be applied to the crotch area, the buttocks, and the rest of the body and keep you cool throughout the day and dry. By the way, these use the same cold receptor trick as the menthol. Now another quick tip, and I've never seen anyone talk about this, is when you're choosing a hair product during the summer, you want to go with something lightweight. You want to go with something that is water-based. You know it's water-based when it's easy to wash out. You don't have to use shampoo to wash it out. The ones you want to avoid, and I like them because they got great hold, but if you go with anything with a wax or any of those thicker clays that are oil-based, well, they do a great job of holding, but the problem is they just also keep the heat in. So go with something that's water-based, that's relatively lightweight. It's going to keep your head just a bit cooler. And speaking of the head and keeping cooler, let's talk about beards and shaving. I'm not saying you got to shave it all off, but guys, you go down to like 5 to 7 millimeters, believe me, it's going to be a lot cooler than having a longer beard. You can always grow it back, but those longer beards, they just retain a lot of heat. And yes, I get it. It's your style. It's your thing, but a shorter trimmer beard during the summer, it can look amazing on you. Now, the key style details on a traditional penny loafer are going to be that penny strap right across the vamp. Another detail I really like about these shoes right here, they have an unlined suede. So if you're looking for summer shoes, look for something that's unlined because it's going to be lighter, it's going to be more breathable. And even compared to the sneakers, you're going to see that we've got a lower vamp. Basically, that's less of the foot is going to be covered. Therefore, it's going to be a cooler shoe wearing experience. Now, if I was dressing these shoes down and wanted to look good on a summer day, I'd be wearing no-show socks, cream chinos, and a chambray shirt, which in case you don't know, is a very lightweight form of denim, usually in a variation of blue. Roll up those sleeves, and with these shoes, you're going to look like you belong on the French Riviera. And if suede's a little bit too edgy for you, of course, you can go with a classic penny loafer in a regular leather upper design. This dark brown pair right here would look great with chinos and maybe a navy blazer, with, of course, a collared Oxford shirt underneath. Maybe even dress it up a little bit more with a striped regimental tie. The classic boat shoe is a classic because it's been around for decades, and the classic hand-sewn upper toe design has been around for centuries. Now, first up, let's address why some people don't like this style. A lot of people associate it maybe with New England prep, and yeah, they don't like preppy style. They feel it's maybe overdone, but straight up, gents, when it comes to comfort, the mock toe is hard to beat. In general, not only is the toe box larger, but in general, it's more flexible, therefore giving your toes more room for movement. Now, stylistically, what defines a mock toe is the stitching right here on the upper toe box. And usually they don't try to hide it, so we're going to see a little bit of contrast. In addition, on a boat shoe, you usually see a leather strap sewn into the upper part of the shoe, where its purpose is to tighten the upper heel to basically cinch the shoe around the foot and keep it on in wet conditions. Another common feature is just a couple sets of eyelets. Sometimes you'll see 3, other times 1, but 2 is pretty common. Now, when it comes to styling shoes like this, I think they work fine with either cotton or linen shorts. Pair that with a short sleeve button down, you got a great combination. And if you wanted to dress it up a bit, maybe go with a pair of seersucker trousers, some no-show socks, and a lightweight unlined blazer. Now, as many of you guys know, wingtips are a form of brogues. Now, there are 4 common styles of brogue shoes out there. We're going to see quarter brogues, semi-brogues, full brogues, aka wingtips, and long wing brogues. Now, broguing in shoes means that they have actually cut holes, perforations in the leather, and historically, this type of shoe was actually used for hunting in marshes. The idea was when you're walking through water, it would go through the shoe, and the holes, the broguing, would allow the water to drain. Nowadays, on most dress shoe, you'll find the broguing design is just that design. It does not go all the way through the leather. But what I love about broguing and why it's so stylish is from a distance, these shoes look like classic dress shoes. In fact, it's not till you get up closer that you start to see all the stylistic work done in the leather. And for that reason, I love brogues. They're understated, they're sophisticated, they're absolutely beautiful. Now, yes, this style has been in vogue for over a decade, and some people think it's been overplayed. But straight up, gents, in my experience, most guys have never even heard of this style. And when you wear it, I love it because, yeah, you got that little bit of flash right there with the double buckles. It's incredibly comfortable. You can slip the shoes on and off when you're going through the airport. When it comes to a slip-on dress shoe that looks great wearing either a suit, sports jacket, not trouser combination, or even dressing it down with chinos and a linen shirt, this shoe style stands out from the crowd. I know so many of you guys are like, Antonio, I can't believe you have them on this list. The reality is many of you guys are going to continue to wear them no matter what I say. So if you are going to choose a pair, then go with a style that doesn't have big branding all over it. I personally like muted, lighter colors. And yeah, as long as they're clean and you understand that these things are casual, well, in this case, you wear what you want and look good. Now, this next shoe isn't a shoe at all. It's the classic Chukka, aka the desert boot. Coming out of World War II Cairo, this was designed specifically for British officers in North Africa who wanted a boot that gave them traction, was comfortable, and could deal with the hot conditions. And gents, if you're into boots, you want to learn more about the different types of boots out there, well, guess what? I've got a video for you, boom, right here. Continue your viewing experience. You guys know I take care of you. Go check out this video. I go into great detail about all the different types of boots that every man needs to know about. Boom.